Hey, my name is Brooke. Welcome back to my channel. This is a channel where I talk about houseplants and do DIYs on my shorts. So if you have not yet, make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can be up to date on all my latest videos. If you are a recurring viewer, thanks so much for coming back and watching another video. Today, I'm kind of doing an update video. So I have a ton of propagations scattered throughout my house. And I was looking at them the other night and realized some of these have been in there for probably a year. And I really need to check on them, see what to do with them, because sometimes I propagate things and I forget about them. And then it's like, do I still want this? Do I want to repot this? What do I do? So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So I have like 3 areas of my house where my plants are. Well, my plants are really throughout my house, but there are 3 distinct areas where you can tell there are a lot of plants. So here, my office, and then our living room area. Well, it's like a dining, living, whatever, one area. So really it is my whole house in 3 areas. But there's a propagation station, I would say, that I have on the side of my fridge. And they're all in 3 different light sources. So these are under grow lights. In my office, some of them are under grow lights, but majority of them, no, they're just above my shelf. And then in my living room, kitchen, dining area, whatever you want to call it, space, it's a southwest facing window, but it gets really low light. And so I have propagated in each of those areas and have had success. So they're all different light sources. I couldn't tell you which ones. I mean, obviously, if you have grow lights on a southwest facing window that gets full sun, that's a great way to propagate them, or a great window light to propagate them in. But I have just kind of propagated them everywhere and in all different types of mediums. And so I have used sphagnum moss, perlite, water, soil, and I did a short on this like quite a while ago showing how the roots developed in each of those. So if you have a minute, you can go check out that short and it'll tell you the results of what I personally prefer. Or I could just tell you right now. So what I personally prefer is either water or sphagnum moss. I think perlite is great and it grows really thick roots, but personally I don't like perlite and all of its like smokiness of it, just the, not fumes, but whatever you call that comes off of it. Don't love that. And then soil is just hard to deal with. I don't enjoy propagating in soil, so I just don't do it. You have to keep the medium extremely moist, and then there's a really high chance of getting fungus gnats, and I don't want to deal with that. So I have preferred sphagnum moss and water. They're the 2 easiest for me to keep track of and to keep care of. One plant that I don't even know if I have a photo of this. I think I might. Maybe I'll put a photo up, but this is my Maranta lemon lime. So I love Calathea. I love Marantas. I think that they are beautiful plants. Yes, are they difficult to care for? Absolutely. But I really enjoy them. It started to get really bad yellowing leaves and it was growing really leggy. And so these are trailers, so they will trail and cascade over a basket, and they are beautiful. They bloom, they move, so they're just very interesting plants, and they can be easily propagated. So when I saw the issue with the yellowing leaves and it growing really leggy, it wasn't the pot. I repotted it, but Maranta are so sensitive to being repotted. I find that most Calathea are sensitive to that. And so I repotted it. It was still doing the same thing. And so I decided that I was going to chop it all back and propagate it. And this is what's happened. So this, I believe, has probably been a year, and it's been growing on the side of my fridge. So it gets southwest facing window, but really low light south facing window because it is a covered window. But you can see here, there are extremely fine roots in here all around the pot. And so it has rooted. You can see up here, it's better. You can possibly, it's glass, but these are all roots right here. So it's rooted very well in sphagnum moss, and I prefer to do Maranta, Calathea. You can split Calathea and propagate it that way, but specifically, I guess, Maranta in sphagnum moss. I'm propagating, I just keep them in sphagnum moss and keep it really moist. And I have propagated these in water, but for some reason, they don't take as well in water. So not really sure, but sphagnum moss does really well for these guys. It has grown a lot. You can see these tiny little leaves here. So these are some of the original leaves. Honestly, yes, maybe these ones down here are the original leaves. So they're a little larger. and then they have these small new leaves coming up top. It's because they're not getting a lot of light. These are ground covering plants, so they don't mind it. If you put them in a lot of high light, they're not going to enjoy it. They're going to burn. But you can see that these larger leaves, as they get closer or higher up, are starting to get that lemon lime feel with the dark green spots and then the lime veining. So it's a very beautiful plant. I honestly was just looking at it because it's starting to yellow, like all of the old leaves or the mother leaves starting to yellow and die off, which is common, and it has been like a year probably. But I was just looking at it and wondering, should I keep it in this? You good? Okay. Should I keep it in this? Should I pot it up? I honestly feel like I just want to keep it in this because, again, they like to be moist, and I've tried to steer away from using soil and go soilless for all my plants. So maybe sphagnum moss will be just fine. Maybe I'll plant this up in a plastic pot and use sphagnum moss as its growing medium, or try stratum, or what is it called? Pawn. I was wanting to try pawn or look at it, but maybe this is a pawn tester. And you can see I just realized all the roots down there, so it's rooted in really well. But again, it's been growing this way for a year, so it should be well rooted. But maybe I'll try this with pawn. Maybe I'll try to get some pawn and do that. So see if he grows. So we'll put him to the side. That's my Maranta lemon lime. Another one that I recently chopped and propagated is this Jose Bono. This is a Philodendron, and it is supposed to be a variegated plant. And so I purchased it. It had a very small amount of variegation, and every leaf that it pushed out after that had no variegation. So this is a top cutting. And then I forgot to water it once because we went away on vacation, and I came back and it was totally drooped over and not good. Actually, I have the mother plant right here because I'm thinking about propagating it completely. But this is the mother plant. It is so yellow. I am so surprised that these leaves have held on. Like, it is just bad. It has a lot of, yellowing and stuff. So they've held on. I have, kept it well watered and just watched it. But at this point, I don't see any variegation on any of the leaves. So it has a new leaf being pushed out right here. And I don't know that it will have any variegation because I've set it in pretty low light. Oh, this is a propagation that sat on the side of my fridge, and it actually rooted extremely fast. So this also has a radiatum cutting in it. The radiatum is a very little. If you can see here, it's got this thin little root right here, but the thicker roots, those are for this Jose Bono. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to cut it back. This now has 3 new growth points coming out on it. So it's got one here, obviously, and it has one down here. Where's it at? Right here? Yes, right here. And then it has one just way down there. And so I don't know. Oh my gosh, it has actually 2 more in the pot coming out, like way down there. So maybe I will leave this. The other problem with this is it's in soil. And so because it liked to be watered. And so I just was like, forget it. I'm just going to keep it in soil so that way it stays, more moist longer. But the fungus gnats are an issue. And so I'm about done with it. And I'm thinking about just transferring it into a different pot. I do see roots coming out of the bottom there. And so I don't know. I was thinking again about propagating it all, or maybe I'll just repot it and let it continue to grow. It's dry right now, so it needs to be watered, so it's a perfect time to repot. But this is one of those plants that I just don't know what's going on with it. I have no idea how to care for it. I don't know how to get the variegation. I think it's probably reverted, and so it is what it is at this point. I was reading about it, and they said that they don't revert, but this looks reverted to me. So there is quite literally no variegation on this plant. The variegated leaf that it did have died off when I forgot to water it. And so, yeah, this is what I'm stuck with, this ugly yellowing plant that I'm not sure about. So let's just set that off to the side because I didn't realize there were so many growth points. And again, it's super easy to propagate just in water. It took really well. My radiatum, so while we're here, I guess, and have it, My radiatum rooted extremely well and quickly. I took a few cuttings. I feel like the radiatum is right. Wow. Oh my gosh, what opposite? It's right there. Wow, this is very trippy, but it's right there. It sits under my Barina grow light, and it's a very easy to care for plant, and it was just growing too much. It was way too high, so I just chopped it back, and I feel like I have more cuttings of it somewhere, but they rooted extremely well and fast. So that is this update. These next cuttings I'm actually really excited about because I have this little baggie. It's just a gallon Ziploc baggie, and I sit it at the very bottom of my Barina grower light shelf. And I placed a ton of cuttings in this. So I had a Micans Philodendron, and I just didn't enjoy how it was growing. I don't really enjoy that plant to begin with. And so I chopped it all back, and I just said, you know what, we're going to restart it. So it had 2 shoots actually. So I chopped one of them all the way back. I let the other one live. I let the other one sit there and grow. But I placed them all in this little container with sphagnum moss, kept it moist, placed it under my grow light, and they're doing really well. Then I know I have a short about this. I put cuttings from my Stanleyana Monstera albo in here, and some of them have started to sprout off. Like, there were no leaves on these. They were bare stem cuttings, so they're what I did the wet stick propagation method on them, and so stuck them in here, and they have leaves, and that was crazy to me. I've actually done this one other time with my Monstera Stanleyana. I just took wet sticks basically, which is just the node, and I placed them in sphagnum moss, covered them, and I think I just put those, no, maybe they were under my grow lights. They were under my grow lights. Put them under my grow lights, and they sprouted real quick. So same thing happened here. I will show the video of me like just putting the sticks in so you can get a visual, because again, these were not here. So this is a Monstera Stanleyana albo. It just popped up. Then you have another one right over here. You have another one. Oh wait, so 2. Okay, so 2 popped up. So 2 popped up, full leaves, and then there are more underneath the soil that I can see. Where did it go? Oh, so this Stanleyana is right here, and it's starting to sprout a leaf. And then this one right here, wait, yes, it's so hard to, this one right here, which you're not going to see that probably, but that's a leaf coming out of a Monstera Stanleyana. And so that was exciting. Those are very easy to propagate. Had no issues with them. I don't think I lost a single a single stick so far. Now, some of these might not produce anything. So like this guy, he has a leaf. This is a Monstera Stanleyana. So he has a little leaf you can see right here coming out, but he has no roots. So it might be a loss. Like this guy, I don't know. I'm going to keep him in here. The fact that he's producing a leaf is promising, but I have had some that it's just taken an extremely long time to grow roots, but it has produced foliage, which I find fascinating. Specifically on my pothos Enjoy did that. But the Micans has done really well as well. So it has all of this new foliage. Oops, sorry. All of this new foliage, tiny little guys. Some of them are larger than others. It's just fascinating how it's really taken and propagated well. And then you can see all the roots in here. Like, look at all these roots in here. Look at all those. Those are all from the Micans. The Stanleyanas have not rooted that well. They're just producing foliage, which is really interesting to me. And so that was exciting. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know if I'm going to like plant them in little plugs and give them away as, small little 3-inch plants or what. But I was happy to see the growth on them, and I just wanted to share that because it was crazy. But this is my first time using like just a plastic bag. Usually I used a covered dish or something. So, plastic bags and this dollar store container worked really well. But that is my update on my little prop box for those guys. Random other propagations that we have going. This whole little jar that I need to fill. So this sits under my Barina grow light. These are Micans cuttings. And so they're, again, like the cuttings that I do in water for Micans, like look at these leaves. Look at these leaves. They're just sad, pitiful little things. I don't know. It never really works. I think that the micans need humidity. And so I think that that's why it works to cover them in sphagnum moss, because again, I've propagated them in water several times, but they don't propagate as quickly. This has been sitting here well over a year. I've had these cuttings, these micans cuttings at least. And so they have grown roots, they have rooted. Just kept them in here because again, I don't know, I just don't prefer micans. They're small little leaves and you need to give them something to climb, and I just don't like them. I don't enjoy them. So these have sat in there. They probably will stay in there. But I have some Florida green cuttings in here that I took from a mother plant who is behind me, and I cut it off and is now, you can see it, it's right here. It's now pushing out that new leaf. And so these have, I believe, rooted. My plan was to propagate them and plant them all back together. So yes, these have rooted. I can it's the stem right here. So those have rooted. The water is being sucked out because there's so many propagations in here. Then I also have a brandy propagating in here who has been in here for well over a year and is the same thing as a micans. Like, I cannot get these guys to grow. The only areas they grow well in are my terrariums. So I have little like terrariums that are hidden actually too in this grow shelf. But this is the mother leaf. And these are the new leaves. Seriously. It's just a plant that it's beautiful. However, it's not for me. It's a philodendron that's not for me. I love philodendron, but that one is just so complicated to care for. And again, the only success I've had in keeping it alive is in a propagation little box. So I just stuck it in here and kept it here, and probably will keep it here, if not throw it away. I'm just going to be honest, because again, I don't want it in my collection. So yes, and it's sad. It's like, I don't even feel like I could give that to somebody because of how like terrible that is. So anyways, micans. Oh, and then a philodendron. I'm sorry, a pothos. I'm just so used to saying philodendron. Pothos Enjoy. And so this is one of my mother leaves right here and here. And then they have new baby leaves right there. They're so cute. I love Enjoys. They're very easy to propagate. There's a ton of leaves down here as well. They're so cute and very easy. You know, pothos are extremely easy to root and propagate and do all of that stuff, care for. So it's a fun plant. I love it. I think it's so pretty. I have a little cutting propagation up here that I actually did do in soil, and it did well. But yeah, I need to fill this jar. Other one, see, I have so many propagation jars. There are too many, and I don't even think this is all of them. This is a Pothos Global Green, and I got this last year. Or maybe actually I got it 2 years ago. I think I got it 2 years ago in 2021. And yeah, 2021, and it died. It quickly died. They weren't rooted. The whole pot was not rooted. And so I took them all out and I started propagating them. And I have this jar, and I feel like I have another jar somewhere. But maybe I threw it out. Did I throw it out? I don't know. Sometimes I get annoyed about keeping so many things, and I don't want these cuttings, but I can tell they're starting to yellow. They're getting a yellow tint, and they've been in here again for 2 years. So I need to take them out and do something with them. Maybe I'll plant them up separately. Oh, I see a little brandy in there randomly. Don't see. Oh, yes, there are brandy cuttings in here. Didn't realize that. There's the mother leaf. See, isn't that funny? This is under a grow light. Like, I don't know. I don't understand them. They need a lot of humidity. And then I have a reverted elbow cutting that has done nothing. I have had this in here for a few months now. So you can see the white right there on it, but it has no roots. And yeah, it's not died or anything. It's just kind of chilled out there. So I'll stick it back. And that's that. I do need to propagate, or I do need to plant these or do something with them. Figure that out later. Then I have my Philodendron White Knight propagation. So I chopped my entire White Knight up and just decided to propagate it. And it's actually propagated very well. This is in sphagnum moss. It started to push out new leaves right here. Some of them actually do have fun variegation on them, I would say, like a white variegation. Probably going to need to do a different video of this, but all these little leaves down here And then they also have new leaves in here that are a little stuck, but they'll make their way out. I believe in them. But this one's actually solid green. It was just a plant that I didn't enjoy how it was growing. It was all this solid green or this weird like speckled, I don't know, orangish yellow, whatever variegation. Just didn't love it. Wasn't what I wanted. And so I decided to chop it all up and propagate it just to see. And it propagated very easily and very well in sphagnum moss. Yeah, so I mean, I don't see any roots for it, but it has a bunch of foliage, so I assume the roots are somewhere. Oh, they're very thin. I don't even think you can pick that. My camera's going to pick that up, but right there, very thin root system. So I'm just going to leave him in there because, again, I don't enjoy how this grows, so I'm just going to keep it in the moss because maybe it'll be like my pink princess. So I've had this propagation, for 2 years, if not, 2 years, and actually did a wet stick propagation. So it wasn't nothing, and I think I have a short on this one as well. It was nothing but a node. I stuck it in sphagnum moss, and this is what it's grown to. And so variegation on it, again, is terrible, but I don't know. Pink princesses just are not a stable variegation, just like the white knights. So you never know what you're going to get. I do see a new growth point, actually a new leaf coming out, and it is pink. So maybe we'll get an all pink leaf. I don't know. But this is a propagation that I was proud of because it grew from nothing. It grew from a node into this. So I keep it around just to see what it does, but it's been in sphagnum moss. You can see all those pink roots. I just keep the sphagnum moss moist. And then while we're at it, I have these ZZ plants. So my son found this broken branch of a ZZ plant on the ground at Lowe's, and he wanted it and said he wanted us to take it home. So we did. We didn't cut it off. It was truly on the ground. But we took it home, propagated some of the leaves. I didn't do all of them. But 3 of them did root. So I have this one here, and then I have this one here, which you can see the rhizome for as well. And then I have one more in the middle that also has a rhizome in it. I don't think you can see it, but this took, you can see the rhizome right there. It took months. It probably took, if not a year for the rhizome to form. So it took an extremely long amount of time. I have not tried it in a different medium. I have tried water for it, and it didn't do anything. So the sphagnum moss started rooting and then formed the rhizome. And so I took the water cuttings out and placed them in here. So that's what the other 2 are. But I have not tried them in perlite or anything else. The sphagnum moss seemed to do the trick though. So those I kind of just keep there as an experiment. I'm just seeing what happens and what they do. And then last one. Well, second to last one is this silver sword. So I had a Philodendron silver sword sitting in this window for a year or more, probably for a year, and it was going crazy. It was growing so tall, and it outgrew the moss pole. And so I decided to chop it all back because I just didn't have the room for it. I wanted to make room for my pothos there, and then I had a Thai constellation and just a lot of things in this corner that the silver sword just needed to go. It was too much. It was growing like crazy. So I chopped it all back. So these are the mother leaves here, the really large ones. They have not lost or skipped a beat, and then they have started producing new foliage like crazy. Look at all this. It's so cute. These by far are the easiest plant that I have ever propagated. I have cut the mother plant back several times before this, and it had grown back like, tenfold. And so I have this guy, it's rooted in real well. You can see all of those roots there, and then some along the bottom here, but it is a fast grower. If you are looking for a quick grower, easy to propagate plant, the silver sword is your go-to. This is a Philodendron silver sword, but it is incredibly easy. It's a very pretty plant. It sizes up so fast, and honestly, I have not had it on a moss pole previously, and it grew really large. And so I would say it doesn't even need a moss pole. You just let it grow. So this is part of it. And then I have another part in my office or in my on my fridge actually, and it's done just as well. They've all grown. This does sit under my grow lights. So again, my mother plant just sat in my southwest facing window though. So it's an easy to care for, great little vigorous growing plant. I have a Philodendron soderoy right there propagating, but I'm not even going to show it because I think it's like the brandy. It is extremely hard for me to care for. I think it needs a lot of humidity and is just not a philodendron that I am interested in. So I did propagate it. The other half of it is sitting under a T5 braided grow light in my office, but I have it propagating right there. It's doing nothing. Again, it's like a brandy. It's not for me, but I do have this reverted elbow cutting. So this is the other half of the Monstera I showed earlier. This one had aerial roots, and so it's rooted really well. I have a short of this one as well, but I just stuck the original aerial root that was like this in a jar of water, and this is what it produced. It's crazy, these thick roots. It rooted so fast. So for this, super easy to root in water. It has not pushed out any new growth yet. I can see it's like got a little, that was dumb of me. It's okay, you know. Anyways, it has a new like leaf coming out right here, but it hasn't pushed anything out. This plant does not have any white variegation on it. The white variegation stopped with this one, and so it's just going to be a normal Monstera, but I just thought it would be fun to test out and see if the aerial root would root quickly, and it did. So water is sticky as well. So that's what I got. Ton of propagations, and I really don't know what to do with all of them. So I know some of these need to be watered, some need to be changed out, some need to be planted. I have a lot of things to figure out with them, but they kind of just find their way into my collection and just sit there for a really long time until I can figure out what to do with them or what I want to do with them. So I think I will for sure plant this Jose Bono up with the mother plant in a new pot and new soil, and then leave some of these guys. This definitely, the global green needs to be repotted, putting it over there. This is going to stay along with this in sphagnum moss. And then, I don't know, I think I'm just going to pop these guys up and maybe give them away or sell them through my Etsy shop or something maybe. So if you want a silver sword, maybe you can keep an eye out there and I'll have some available. That was it. Those were my propagation updates. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and we'll see you next time.